Hi, welcome back to Paper Fiore. I'm Kristen Sluin, and I am so glad you're here. I have the opportunity today to again do the ALTENEW Ambassador Program, and I am featuring the new Mini Delight Apothecary Garden set. Now, the Mini Delight sets usually come with a stamp set and a die set that coordinate, and they are a really great way to build up your stash for not a lot of money. They range at, I think, $10.99 for a stamp set and a die set that you can make beautiful cards like this one with. So I'm excited to show you what this one is all about. Again, it's called the Apothecary Garden. It has a stamp set that has lots of actually sentiments in it, 2 large jar type stamps, and then a die set with the keyhole system to help you make some blooms to go on that stem. Now, to coordinate with this set, I've decided to use my Geometric Frames die along with my Modern Leaf background press plate and stencil set. I love this background. I think it's beautiful and it has so many opportunities for variety. You can just make it go with any season. Now, along with these products, I am going to use some of ALTENEW's new paper, and I have here the Sagestone, the pink sand, and then the shattered shell. These are gorgeous colors, and I love how soft they are. And today I'm planning on using all 3 in my card, but I am starting off with the pink sand for the base. I also decided to go ahead and use foil for this. The intricateness of the leaves for the background is just so gorgeous. Whether you use it as a letterpress or you use it with your glimmer machine and you foil it, either way, you will have a gorgeous result. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but this press plate kept sticking to my glass mat. So you'll see me have a little bit of struggle here. But I'm going to go ahead and just trim off a little piece of the foil that will cover the press plate so that I can put this image onto my pink sand card base. Now, once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and peel away the foil and look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, ALTENEW just makes fantastic products. That is really, really beautiful. The nice thing is also with that leftover piece of foil, I can go ahead and transfer that onto other cardstock or onto a toner sheet so that I can use it for another card base. Now that that background is finished, I'm going to go ahead and start with my stamping. So I'm starting with an 80-pound white cardstock base, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp down one of these jars. I've decided to use my die just to make sure which size jar to go with, so I've opted for the smaller jar, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp this with obsidian ink. But first, because it is a new stamp, I am going to use the ALTENEW Stamp Conditioner so that I can make sure I have a great impression. So I am using the obsidian ink, and I have decided to heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. The obsidian ink, it is a pigment powder, so it takes a long time to dry unless you heat set it or do embossing with it. But it really gives you such a beautiful image when you stamp it. It helps keep all of those crisp lines. So I do like to use this one a lot, especially if I am going to be embossing it. Now I am heating the card from behind so that it melts the embossing powder a lot smoother. If you use your heat element right on top of the powder, it does tend to give you an orange peel type of look. So if you heat your embossing powder from underneath, it does a lot better. Now I'm going to go ahead and die cut this, and you're going to see I did a little mess up. I did not tape that down, and you can tell that my die moved when I put my plate back on it, which is okay. I can solve that problem. Mistakes happen, and they are easy to fix. This is just paper. I could have redone it, but I decided I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Now I'm also going to add some brushed gold metallic cardstock. When I originally cut out the vase, I did use the smaller die. Now that smaller die in this set also cuts out a tiny, very fine frame. It's it's really quite beautiful. But because I cut it out from the smaller die with the frame, I needed to use the bigger frame to cut out a piece of brushed gold metallic cardstock so that I could have a little frame on it. Otherwise, it would have just been floating out in space, and I like to pop my things or my elements up on my card bases. Now that I have that completed, I am going to go ahead and use the coordinating stencil for the modern leaf background. And I decided to add just a little bit of depth. Now, this set comes with 2 stencils, one for the leaves and one for the stems. But because my stems are done with the gold foil, I have opted to not use the second stencil. So I am only going to use the leaf stencil for this project. And to fill this in, I am going to use the pink sand ink because it's the same color as the cardstock, because I really do want it to just be a subtle background. It really is such a pretty color. It is not pink, contrary to the name, but it really is a beautiful, soft brown color. I really do love this color. Now that I have finished with my stenciling, I'm going to go ahead and peel off that stencil and just look at that background. It is so pretty. It is soft and shimmery. Just, it's a chef's kiss. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on my vase. So I'm using the Apothecary Garden die set to die cut out the stems and the blossoms. Now I'm going to be using the Sagestone and the Shattered Shell cardstocks from ALTENEW. They are so beautiful with this pink sand. The 3 of them together, it's just so soft and lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim up my cardstock so I can fit it onto my plates and run it through my die machine. So once I have it run through my machine, we'll go ahead and take out all the pieces. And I know that you guys are probably all familiar with this, but the keyhole system from ALTENEW is just so incredibly genius. I had a lot of their die sets from before, their layered die sets, especially their florals, before they came out with this system. And I really feel that while their die sets were absolutely exquisite, and you could do a little bit of variation with moving around your dies when you're layering them, this keyhole system is a game changer. It makes putting together your die pieces so easy. It goes so fast. It truly is a wonderful system, and I'm really impressed with them when they came up with this. I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of ink blending on all of my die cuts. So this is the Sagestone, and I am going to go ahead and add it to the branch. Now I'm adding it along the stem part of the branch and just at the bases of the leaves, because I do want there to be a little bit more dimension. I want the buds of the stem to look a little bit lighter, and then I also want the leaves to look like they have a little bit of depth. So again, I'm just adding the ink, and I'm using my number 7 micro blending brush from ALTENEW, and I'm just adding it right along the stem and at the bases of those leaves. Once those are all finished, or the stem is finished, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the blossoms. Now the blossoms are going to be inked with Dusty Rose, and the Dusty Rose is the next color from Pink Sand in that color story. So they coordinate together, even though the Dusty Rose is more of a rosy, it's just a really pretty, like, warm rose color, but it's not really pink. Does that make sense? It's kind of almost a brown, but it's not even brown. It's the colors are just amazing. So I am going to go ahead with the Dusty Rose. And again, I'm going to be using that same number 7 micro blending brush. If you don't invest in a lot of, brushes, that's fine. I usually just have, for my micro blushes, especially, one color or one brush per main color. So I'll have a brown brush. I have all the colors of the rainbow, plus a gray and a black. And then if I have some interesting colors that I really don't want to get muddied, I'll also have some for that. So I don't have the full spectrum, but I would say I probably have 10 or 12 brushes that are of this size. It just helps to make some of the attention to detail so much better in your projects. I am going to go ahead and do the centers of the flowers because I die cut them out from that Sagestone cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and ink them with the same thing. I do wish that I had had the shattered shell ink, but it hadn't come in by the time I was making this card. So that'll be for another day and another card. But in the meantime, the Sagestone worked perfect as centers for these flowers. Now, once you have everything done, when you add your glue, here's a big tip that I used to give my preschoolers. Put the glue on the piece that's going onto the base. So for the keyholes, you always want to do the smaller piece that's going on top of the number one piece or the base piece. Put the glue on that second piece. That helps keep the amount of glue that you're putting on your project to a minimum, and it won't ooze out as much. So as you can see with these keyholes, the holes are so tiny. You just need a tiny bit of glue right around the hole in order for it to adhere to the base layer of those flowers. So put the glue on the second layer, not on the first layer that's at the base, the second layer that's going on top. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to finish up assembling our little flowers here to go for our vase, and then the rest of it is going to just be put together super easy. I did actually make another set of these florals, and I'm going to show you just another way that you could have done the focal point, the medallion part. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward, and I did not cut this from watercolor. So editor beware here. I did not cut it from watercolor. I came up with this idea afterward. I actually had a little Valentine's Day party at our house last week, and I used some pink glass vases for that. And I just thought it was so pretty, and I thought that it could be really pretty with this. So I took a little bit of the Dusty Rose and I rubbed it onto my glass mat, and then I just took a little bit of water and filled in the image of the vase. Now you don't want to use a lot of water unless you're using watercolor paper, but I am just doing a wet on wet technique. So I'm just picking up a little bit of the dye ink, and I'm just tapping it to the already wet paper. So it's going to just kind of flow into the water that is on that paper and just really make this beautiful, makes it look like it's a clear pink glass vase. Doesn't it? It looks so pretty. And it was just so simple. But again, I did not use watercolor paper. You should probably use watercolor paper, but I'm kind of a slap hazard kind of girl. So anyway, that's how I did it. Now, to finish off this cute little vase, I am going to add the little ribbon detail, and I'll do that in just a minute. Now, with my pretty rose colored glass vase, I'm going to go ahead and assemble my flowers in there. I put the stem on first. It's not made to go inside the glass. It gives the illusion that it's inside the glass when you just set it on top of the stamp. You could get super finicky and do it on like a vellum or something, do your stamping on a vellum, and then you could slice it and slide it in. I'm not that fussy. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it like this, okay? So once I have my stem and my florals adhered, I'm going to go ahead and then adhere the floor or the vase to the gold background. So it will have this really pretty small, skinny little gold frame. Now, so that this vase, since I miscut it, so it's not floating up in space without any place for it to sit, I did use my favorite ALTENEW marker, and it is Arctic. I love this color because I use it for shadows on everything. And I just use that to draw a very soft grounding place for that vase to sit on. You don't want it floating in space. I mean, you can, but you really want it to be sitting there. It's more pleasing to the eye. So go ahead and add a little bit of shadow underneath your vase. Make sure that you don't do it straight at the bottom of the vase. You want to go up just a skosh so it looks like it's actually sitting on the table, okay? Now I'm going to be using some dimension foam here on the back, and I will go ahead and adhere this to the front of my card. Now, before I actually adhere it, I forgot that when I made my panel, I didn't get it all the way to the edge. You see that? I got a little smidge in there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off that back panel, and it's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So it will go on top of a card base and have a little white frame around the edges. Now here is my little tip when it comes to putting your panels on, because sometimes, it's really easy to get it on there crooked, right? Well, I am going to go ahead and use some foam adhesive on the back of this. And once I have all that foam adhesive on there, I am going to go ahead and place it on the card base. Now, when I place mine on the card base, I make sure when I'm hovering it over the card base that I have the same amount of space on 3 edges, on the folded edge and then the 2 edges that are next to the folded edge. Does that make sense? So on this one, I have a side folding card. So when I place this panel down, I will be placing it down so that the side where the fold is on the left-hand side, the top and the bottom, when I'm hovering it over that piece of cardstock, it is going to have the exact same dimension. I'm eyeballing it. I'm not measuring it or anything. I'm just going to eyeball it. And when you eyeball it that way, the rest of it should line up. You might end up with a little extra on the end where the card opens. That's easy just to trim off, right? You can't trim off where the folded part is. So instead of lining it up at the top or lining it up at the bottom or where the card opens, always line it up where the fold is. When you line it up with the fold, then you can't go wrong. Now I know it looked like it was too easy, but it is. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy, no question. But it really comes second nature. If you have any issues, that's how you do it, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead finally and put this on the front of my card. I did add a little bit of foam behind those flowers because I want to make sure that they don't get stuck all up in the envelope when I go to send this out. So I'll go ahead and put some foam behind there, and I will put glue behind those 2 little flappy stems that are floating out there, just because, again, I don't want things to get stuck, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the cute little tie that goes around the vase. The option with the die set is it does have 2 little tags that you could attach to that. I decided not to do that for this one, but you could easily do that, and it's tiny and small. You could probably put a little heart on there. It's kind of cute, okay? Now, one of my favorite stamp sets is the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips. And it's not a stamp set, I apologize. It's actually, they're press plates. There are 3 press plates that you can get that coordinate with the same die. And each set has a bunch of different sentiments in it. So that is one of my favorite ones to do when I have something like this and I don't want a big sentiment. I want it to be simple and elegant. And this is such a soft card. I felt that a big sentiment would be like, woo, in your face. And it's so soft. So you just want a nice little soft thing. So I do tend to cut these out and make these in bulk. And I will put them in my sentiment, scrap bin, and then I can just pull them out whenever I want to. So again, that is the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips. It's a must-have in my book, okay? So I went ahead and put a little bit of foam on there, and I am going to go ahead and use a T-square to make sure that the sentiment is pretty straight on my card. So there we have it. And as you can see, I still have those little pieces up there of some extra flowers and some stems that I did. I'm just going to go ahead and make an extra little, a little something that I could add to another card. And it's just going to be done because I had them done and I didn't end up using them on this card. So I just went ahead and took that stem and I took the center piece of the gold die from the Geometric Frames die. And I'm just adding, my stem to it, and then I'm going to add my little flowers. So it's going to be like a little a floral framed sentiment panel. I mean, it's easy to do. I've already got the stuff already out. Don't throw away your scraps. Use them. I've got little bins that are separated, and they have, I got a sentiment bin, and I got a floral cut bin, and I got a frames cut bin. Use those bins up, all right? Use those little scraps. I mean, if you're like me, you got a lot of scraps, and go ahead and use them. Just keep using them. Don't let them just sit there and collect dust. Use them. Now, if you are somebody that just, I can go ahead and throw that out. God bless you, because you probably have a very clean crafting space. I do not. I mean, it's organized, but I wouldn't say it's super clean. But again, so here I put these on here. I can frame it onto a piece of the white. And again, I'm going to use the One Go Solid sentiment strip on it. I mean, look how easy that was, just with some scraps, right? I mean, really. Now, you could use some of the sentiments that come in with the stamp set. They have thanks, love you, hello, and then some coordinating little sentiments to go with it as well. But again, I went ahead and used the One Go solid sentiment strips. So that's it. That is what I have made for you today. I hope you enjoyed it and you liked the process. It was a pretty easy card today, and I'm really glad that you got to see it. So here it is up close. Hopefully you can see that little bit of shimmer from those leaves. It's just so pretty. The modern leaf background, it's just so, it's so pretty. So if you are into this kind of look, go ahead and get these. These are really wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for being here. There's our little piece there. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now I have exciting news. I have a free offer with purchase for you from ALTENEW, $79 or more. And if you use the code KRISTINCRAFTS, you will get 5 sheets of the ALTENEW back-to-back adhesive sheets. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? That's $11. And it's free with the purchase of $79 or more. Make sure you use that code. I also have a link down in the bio or down in the description, so make sure you click there because I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic, colorful day. Bye.